My background as a designer started very early. I already wanted to be a fashion designer when I was a little girl, and I very classically did little doll dresses and drove my mom crazy, ruining her sewing machine. When I started design school in New York at Parsons School of Design and studied there and in Paris, also at the Parsons School of Design, and went on to work in New York for fashion companies. When I heard of Berlin as a new base for fashion, I was very thrilled. Of course, like every designer, I dreamt of having my own label and was very lucky to fulfill this dream here in Berlin. We launched Cruba in 2009, shortly before I had moved to Berlin. The idea was to start a brand, a long-lived dream, always thinking about starting my own fashion business. We started out as a cashmere label initially, but then very soon moved to more with really high quality fabrics, because we felt this is what our customer really enjoys about Cruba. To work with natural fibers, be a local, very cultural, enriched label here in Berlin. Eco-friendly for me means to spend time and think about every step you do in your company. That starts from choosing which paper you print on. It starts from, as a fashion company, reflecting upon where you get your fabrics and where you produce, and what are the conditions where you produce. Urban wholesome environment means for us to really care about your local environment, to support regional economy and build trust within the people that surround you. So we very much care for working locally with all our manufacturers, have our sampling room here in Berlin. That's very important to us. Just have a happier environment, because we feel that's more contemporary today than anything else.
It's very important for us to have our samples here in Berlin. It's the main part of our work and of our design process as well. What we do is that we mainly drape at the dress form, so our cuts are developed three-dimensionally. We do consider our brand as sustainable. First of all, we only use fabric with European origins, so that we can be sure our suppliers meet the European standards concerning environmental or labor rights, and we make a point of being very familiar with our suppliers. Each season, 1/3 of the collection is made of overproduced fabrics, so we recycle from fine Italian and French mills mainly. It's always challenging to find materials that really fits the mood of the collection and are recycled. Sometimes this is a huge advantage, because you may never thought of something specific like that.
Inspiration for this summer collection was the graphic elements of the desert. I think what drew me to it is, as a child I lived in South America, in Peru, and I really missed the graphics of the desert, the clearness, the minimalism of desert, and so it's not desert in the sense of nomadic life, it's more really the graphic elements. This is an important fabric, also the one I'm wearing. The print is from a dried out riverbed, and the idea was to show that in desert you have a fata morgana. So basically you cannot see the difference between the horizon and the earth, and by mirroring the patterns we try to translate that into our clothing. So this piece is it's one piece of fabric from here all the way to the shoulders and folded over. That's very important for this collection. There are a few ways of how eco-fashion can become more and more a social norm. Number one, I think if we would raise customs, for example, with fashion coming from far away. It would be a very easy way to reduce producing very far away, and we would very strongly support our local businesses. So basically it would not be cheaper to be producing far away. That's one way. The other thing that one really has to see, and that's I think done through education, if one starts to communicate to especially young people what it means if you buy a t-shirt from a big corporation producing it very cheaply. If you buy a t-shirt for €5 that has hand-stitched sequins on it, that means that someone was not paid to do it. And not only was that person not paid properly who produced that t-shirt, but at the same time, if the t-shirt is dyed in poisonous color far away, that person that stands in the poisonous color probably lives shorter. And since he lives shorter, he will probably have big medical bills. We're not paying for that. We're just paying for the t-shirt. If we would, just with educating, communicate the system the way it's working right now, from big companies producing far away, that would help us to really push forward ecologic fashion here at home. I think as a global community, we should really work to enhance the vision of fashion, so one can feel good about fashion and not feel guilty, think that one has to change something in order to enjoy fashion. We have to go back to really find the beauty in creating fashion, giving it some value, and enjoying the knowledge of what it's made, what the story is.